We're going to talk about upgrading Windows customers, and not just Aldelo POS. We're going to broaden this out to include every POS system in the market that runs on Windows, and why it is important and imperative for you right now to start looking for those and to start planting the seed. There are some serious issues that are coming down the road. The Windows-based market is the largest POS install base. It generally, well, it used to be the cash register world, and then Windows came about, and now you'll find that the largest install base and the largest potential customer base is Windows. This started with the chains that started years and years ago, 2 decades or more, where the chains were bringing in Windows systems. Then the small to medium market followed suit. Well, now it's turned around. The chains are still doing Windows, but it's the small to medium market that is no longer following suit with the chains. They've broken away and are going in the tablet direction. They're replacing their tablets, and the new installs are actually going mostly with a tablet system. But for us, the largest opportunity to replace a point of sale system is going to be to replace a Windows operating system. And we're talking every vendor. We're not just talking Aldelo. We're talking every vendor in the market. Every one of these is an opportunity for us at this point. Operating systems from Windows typically have problems with their upgrades. They're typically not as stable as you would expect, or at least we've come to expect them not to be stable. So they generally, when they introduce an operating system, it introduces problems, introduces security issues and compatibility issues. So be on the lookout for those type of issues whenever there's a upgrade announced by Windows. And on the opposite end of that, when they do introduce a new product or a new version, it's going to have a problem with the end of life. It's going to put an end of life on the current system that then will cause a problem for upgrades. So they are forcing people then to upgrade to a more current version of their operating system. Not always is it free, and most times it's not. So it's a revenue generator for them to not only introduce the new version, but to kill the old one. PCI certifications have plagued recent versions. There are majority of the versions of Windows that are in the field are not PCI compliant, and they have major security issues and major security problems. We have heard of the PCI Council. They do look for these installs. They're not out hunting them, but nonetheless, none of these are certified, these older versions. And XP is absolutely not certified and must be updated. When Jeff and I were talking about this morning, I asked her, well, what do we do when we have a customer who calls in on an older version? And what do we do at tech support? Well, we ask, since we see this an older version, we'll ask them, what operating system are you on? And if they say XP or Vista or even older versions, we'll say, well, great. Okay, great. We'd love to help you. Let's get you upgraded. So the first thing we do is we upgrade them. Well, as you're about to see, that is going to be a problem here very, very shortly. Upgrades generally require new hardware, and that hardware is not cheap. If it's Windows, you're looking at anywhere $1,000, $1,200 or more per terminal just for the PC POS version of this. All-in-ones can go up to $1,500 or more. So the upgrade for the hardware is not a cheap situation. It can get very expensive. This opens a door for Aldelo Express, and we'll get into that as well. But I want this thing to be in your mind as to why this is an opportunity for you and Aldelo Express. So next up, Windows 11 has been released. It is not in everybody's hands. We're having some difficulties getting our hands on it, but it is released. The upgrades are available. So it is out there. And it obviously will take Windows 10 and it's going to add it to the end of life list as of October 2025. So at that point, October 2025, Windows 10 will no longer be supported, and therefore we will not either. So that is the window that you're looking at. Some things about Windows 11 that are going to be prohibitive for a lot of customers, a lot of users. It does require a 1 gigahertz 64-bit dual core processor. 64-bit is the key here. There's no longer a 32-bit. In a lot of the systems out there are 32-bit. Has to be 64-bit and needs 2 cores, dual core. Minimum of 4 gigabytes of RAM, but what I'm hearing is that, and what we're hearing is that even at 4 gigs, it is a bit sluggish. So it could stand to have more RAM. And then it has to have the DirectX 12 graphics drivers. So these 3 things are the minimum hardware requirements of the system to run Windows 11. If the current POS hardware is in the field, does not have this, won't upgrade. Not able to upgrade. And there's no upgrade path for the embedded versions, the low-cost versions of Windows embedded. There is no such thing as an upgrade path for those versions. So they are stuck with whatever they got. May not work very well going forward, because here's the thing. Mixed hardware installations may have a file sharing problem, and I use the word may. I can't say that it will, but there's a very, very good chance that the installation of Windows 11 on one device with Windows 10 or earlier on other terminals may result in file sharing issues with the database. Our tech support's already been trained, or being trained on this to identify this, but we're looking at that as being a potential problem, not only for us, but for any Windows-based system. So the POS vendors that are in the POS providers, the hardware providers, the ones we've talked to have all said that they currently do not have 11, but will be moving to it sometime by mid-year of 2022. So you're currently, if you're getting hardware, you're going to get a Windows 10, but look for that transition to happen sometime before end of second quarter. That means that at that time, you're going to have software that will run on it. Fortunately, our Aldelo POS will. I'm not going to speak to other POS vendors to that. But soon, existing all-in-one terminals will be obsolete. So the ones that are in the field will very, very, very soon be obsolete because they cannot upgrade to version 11. And that is a strong problem for anyone who needs to be or has to be PCI compliant. So path to simplicity. This is where we can jump in and make good on this. Our software obviously has no cost for software or operating system upgrades. That is all included with our system. And of course, Apple has no charge for their OS upgrades. So they have taken a different path, whereas Windows charges for their upgrades, Apple does not. So OS upgrades are included. It's also some very economically priced hardware. And I'm putting in here that it has a substantial usable life. When you ask us our official policy on which iPad will run, we tell you that our software will run on any iPad that runs the current version of iOS. That's the company tagline. That's the line. That's what you're going to hear from us. That's the official statement. If it'll run the current iOS, it'll run our software. But we know for a fact, and we have it in our labs, that our software is currently running on 5 years or more older iPads. So we do know that the software will run and will run effectively and efficiently without problems on iPads that are over 5 years. We are hesitant to say how long it'll go, but we can tell you for sure in our lab, we're running on 5-year-old iPads. So when we say economic hardware with a substantial usable life, we're talking a lot longer than what these Windows terminals are going to last in the field. So a terminal that's 2 to 3 years old in the field that cannot upgrade to iOS or to Windows 11, that has no more life. It is done. You're not going to get that with a iPad system. On top of that, mobile devices are out of scope for PCI. They fall outside the bounds of the PCI compliance. So our compliancy is through the PAX units and on our cloud servers. We pass PCI compliance with flying colors every time. So we do not have issues with that. So our system is PCI compliant and will be going forward. You do not have to worry about any of those compliant issues with versions of software as you do with Windows. We use multiple layer tokenization, and that really vastly improves the security. There's tokenizations on either end of the transmission. There's tokenization within the terminal. There's tokenization at software level and on the cloud level. And just in general, the tablet and mobile OS is just more secure than Windows. And you'll say, which one, Android or iOS? And we'll say yes, because everything's more stable and more secure than Windows. Another reason that we are at an advantage here is that our solutions are expandable, and you can expand them via more modules, more software modules. We continuously add modules to the Aldelo Express. So we have the most recent additions to the modules have been the inventory module and the Mesa Plus module. So those extra pieces continue to be added and added upon. So as you see, we're introducing new software, new modules that go beyond even our own Windows product. So our product is far superior to not only ours, but to the others in the field. So you have a feature advantage when going into this. You can expand our system with hardware. That is, the PAX units you see here can be added to the system to then put those in the hands of the servers and wait staff. That greatly expands the system, along with things like kiosks and customer-facing displays, kitchen displays. We have all the additional hardware that allows us, a restaurant, to expand their system to meet the growth that they're receiving. We have multiple third-party apps and continue to bring those in. So this greatly expands the flexibility of the software to include really important and desired third-party apps. And then there's always internal development of new products. The 100% of our development is with the Aldelo Express product line and everything associated with that. So you're getting our entire focus on development is with this product. So it will continue to expand and continue to grow as we move forward. I think I mentioned that the Windows or the tablet systems are more stable. And that's really one of the reasons that the industry is moving to tablets. iOS and Android are just far more stable. They work. They just simply work. And if for whatever reason you have a lockup on an iPad, you call tech support, they're going to tell you to turn it off and turn it back on, and it fixes itself. That's how stable the system is. It's also very upgradable software. It allows us to set the upgrades to automatic. They download, they upload themselves, they then install themselves, and the customer then is now enjoying new software with the new features already put in by Apple. So this makes it a very easy upgrade and takes the on-site technician out of the equation. Then there's the ease of use and comfort. everybody seems now, everybody's going to have some kind of cell phone, some kind of tablet, some kind of mobile device that they're used to touching, used to swiping, used to the gestures. They're very comfortable with the concept of having a device in their hand that they can then touch. So this makes the ease of use and acceptability of a tablet solution far easier. You have fewer and fewer people who are resisting the change because they're already comfortable with a mobile device in their hands. So don't discount that. This is a big deal here. And then obviously for a new restaurant, a lower cost of entry is absolutely an advantage over a Windows-based system. The low cost of entry is with the Aldelo Express using Aldelo Pay. There is no software charge. There is no development charge. There is no tech support charge. So a low cost of entry with us, it's basically by the router, by the hardware, and processing. You have a system. So the low cost of entry is a big deal with the tablet solutions going forward. And with regard to Windows and upgrading, that then means a low cost of upgrade from Windows. We talked about the expensive hardware that's going to be required to run Windows 11. Well, now that opens up an advantage for us with a low cost of upgrade. All they have to buy are the iPads and the printers. We'll provide the software and services. So there's a very, very low cost of upgrade. They could probably, and I'm not going to say definitely, but probably buy the hardware needed for their site for the cost of what they would be spending on just one terminal in the Windows world. And then going forward, there's a lower total cost of ownership. We hear of one of our referral partners losing a sale on price. We instantly know that they're not proposing Aldelo Pay. They're using their own processor. If you're losing on price, it's your own fault. And we really don't have a lot of sympathy for that, because we've given you an opportunity to have a low cost of entry, low cost of upgrade, and a low cost total cost of ownership situation. If you tend to go down that other path, you're on your own there. And if you lose on price, you can't look at us and complain. We've given you the opportunity to be the low cost provider in this situation and make good money on it. So going forward, if you are selling in the tablet world, you need to learn how to sell on total cost of ownership. So what you want to do now is you want to plant the seed. I'm not saying Q4 is the hottest time of the year to sell point of sale, because it's not. It generally is the slowest quarter. But go out and plant the seed now. Windows 11 is being introduced now. So let's get out and plant the seed now. Get out and find those Windows installs. Look for the ones that are on XP. Look for those older versions. And one of the easiest ways that I would tell if they're on XP is if I walk in and they're on a 15-inch monitor. That's a real good indication that they're on an older version of Windows. Just let that be a rule of thumb. You need to explain the need. You don't have to go in and make the sale today. Plant the seed, explain the need, explain what is coming, be their friend and consultant about what's coming in the next year. Show the differences between what they have now and what they could have with the Aldelo Express, and then simply create a sense of urgency. Let them know this is coming. Let's be prepared for it. Let me help you get prepared. Let's not have you get caught short. Set the stage for future success now. It's always been a plan of mine that I set up my next year and the current year. And I'm trying to get you to see the same thing. Set up a successful 2022 by setting the stage in 2021, particularly in the fourth quarter, so that you have a good year next year.